Morning, everybody. Vincenzo's Gold Crypto Investing, the gold standards here again with its new format on its live drive time radio show, market talk and money making. We got the screen record. We found a adequate third party for the iPhones live where I can screen record at 6:47 a.m. on February the 12th, 2026. If we can believe this already, that actually has good audio and video quality. Water's frozen again. You gotta remember not to leave it in here. But as we get going with this morning's show on the live drive time radio show, it's a little bit colder today. It's here in Southern Ontario, out here working south of Toronto. It's a little bit colder today, Jay. We're running at -8 Celsius, so that's around maybe 20 degrees Fahrenheit. If we look at the Bitcoin price this morning, and this is much nicer morning radio show where we can look at the charts and we can get into what's actually going on and not have to use snapshots and pictures, right? But we can see the Bitcoin price has had a slight rally last night. It's sitting at $68,000. The only thing I can't see here is the comments. $68,000. It's up about $1,000 or 1.49% this morning. The Ethereum price is up 2.72%, but that was hit the hardest yesterday. It's up almost to $2,000 here early this morning as of 6:48 a.m. XLM is up 3.65%, and XRP is up 2.31% to $1.40, and XLM is just below 16 cents. And if we start at the XRP price, we'll get into the chart here, and we're going to do everything from a tighter time frame. We're going to get into there. We still do not, after 5 years, want to buy you. But I guess they got to keep advertising and hope they capitulate you in, just like the market manipulators try to capitulate you out. If we look at you can see where we're at with the XRP price this morning. We're at that crossroads where we're just underneath, but we're up against and beating on that 200-day in the weekly in green right there. You see that? Beautifully in green. And if we can break above that, you can make a ferocious rally and try to run up towards the 50-day moving average in the daily time frame, and that's sitting up there at $1.79, right? So we're sitting just below. Wow, there's a lot of traffic out here today. What the fuck is going on? Excuse me, French. But we're sitting just below that 200-day. If we get rejected by that 200-day, like we've been talking about on the Drive Time radio show for 2 weeks now since we started this radio show, here, the mobile Vincenzo radio compound and network, the gold standard radio network, right? We're sitting at 89 cents is where your next drop point would be after you would initially come here to the $1.12 where your regional low was set, right? But the 89 cents is a drop point on a big like that. It would drop down to, you see? Okay, so that's what we're looking at here at the gold standard. On the upside, if we can get back above this $1.41, the 200-day in the weekly time frame, hold that as support, you could absolutely make a run up to that $1.78, most absolutely and definitely, right? And that's what we're looking at there with the XRP at 6:50 a.m. We're going to move to the XLM price, and it's the same thing, but XLM price is bouncing off that 14.5 cents, an area the gold standard was warning you when you were back here at 25 cents, when you were back here at 31 cents, when you were trading through this green support and resistance box up there at 36 cents, and all the way back at 30 or 63 cents on that capitulation top late last December, or 2 Decembers ago. I can't believe that's already been 2024, right? And now we're in 2026. That's just crazy to me. But that's where we're at right now with the XLM price. And as long as we can stay above that 14.5 cents, that's your major short-term support, because we could try to make a run up near that 18 cents, 18 and 3/4. If you can hold that 14.5 cents, it's there. I just made the line smaller. We can make it a little bit bigger today. See that right there? That pinkish, light purple line, whatever you want to call it, right? But if you fall and get below that, your next major support level is about 12 cents and then 7 cents. So it's very critical that you hold this 14 cents in the short to medium term if you don't want to go capitulation bearish, right? And that's where that's the area on all the crypto we're at right now. Even in Ethereum, you can see we're bouncing on that blue support resistance box that I've been talking about on the Drive Time radio show, the gold standard network. and we bounced off that 1782, the top part of that support and resistance box, which when you're coming from above, you would expect to have a brief bounce at the very least, right? But you can see if you come all the way down to the bottom part of that support and resistance box is very, very far down. And there is no support when you're trading within this box. Once you get past the initial top part of it, if you're coming at it from above, or the bottom part of it, if you're coming at it from below, when you first get past that initial support at top and you get into that blue trading box, like down into here, 1650 to 1700, it'll just flush all the way down to $1,024 at the bottom part of that box, like that, because there's not much support, right? There's not a lot of support in there. That's why on the way up, you ferociously rallied after a brief rejection on the bottom side of it. Once you got into it and held it, you ferociously rallied to the top side of it. And that's the same thing you're going to do on the bottom side. But what we're talking about is we're at the point in crypto where we're at the capitulation where we could be moments away or days away or weeks away from the next drop being the capitulation flush, where I mean a 50% across the board in all the coins and up to 70 to 80% in the small cap, alt, super altcoins, right? Which means you could be looking at something in Ethereum where you're sitting at $1,800 and then you wake up the next morning, you went to bed and it's $1,800 and you wake up and Ethereum sitting at $650, right? You went to bed and XRP was at $1.33. You wake up and it's sitting at 75 cents. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And I think we're moments away, but we got to have some traps set to get more people in to get slaughtered, right? And I think that's what this rally is. If we do get a rally right here, if we rally up, say the Bitcoin up to 83,000, right? Say we did that. Why couldn't we? We could. Absolutely we could. And it gets everybody, and you get XLM up to 26 cents. You get XRP up to $2.10. You get Ethereum up to $2,700, $2,900, and you get Bitcoin up to 83 to 89,000 in the next month. Say you had a 1 month rally. Just think of that in your head. You're sitting on the beach and you have a 1 month crypto rally. Where everybody's head would be, where the YouTube sphere would be, where the mainstream hustling would be going, right? Where all these promoters, they would be all over the sphere, pumping it, hyping it, moving the momentum and manipulating the retail trader into buying that trap. And I can imagine, and I could absolutely see something like that happening. And that's why here on the Live Drive Time radio show, we're just gonna seed it. We're gonna put the seed out. We're gonna plant it. We're gonna feed the idea that this might be possible, right? This could happen, and it's something you need to be paying attention to, right? So if that does happen, not saying it will, but if it does, you're not tricked, you're not fooled, and you're not surprised, and you don't walk into the trap. You sit on the sidelines like Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway, where they have 36% of their money right now in liquid cash, either straight up cash or in a short-term CD or bond where they can pull out whenever they want. Why? Because they know there's a great opportunity ahead in all markets. The gold market, the crypto market, the equity market, the housing market, the commercial real estate market, the gold and silver bullion market. They know there is a massive, massive opportunity coming after they just blew a massive bubble over the last 12 to 14 months and everybody went in. The few select half of the 1% club that are realizing some profits in 2026 early before a collapse happens, they're going to be the ones that can double down on this 30 to 50% pullback that I think we're going to get this year across the board. And then you go, you buy the good companies cheap and you ride the pump. Don't know if it's going to happen. I'm not a financial advisor. These are only the gold standards, talking out loud ideas essentially on this Drive Time morning radio show is what I just did to you. Theorizing some crypto criminal gangster manipulated game plans they could have out there. And with the Fed going to pretend for a few months to talk hard, and they're going to potentially not lower rates again, and this new chairman's going to be a strong dollar, tough on inflation, right? I could see a collapse short term in a brief rundown like we saw last year with the tariff, where you had a 30% drawback in the major indexes, 50, 60% in some of the smaller stocks, Like even Apple went down like 60%, right? I could see something like that coming this springtime as my lovely snow slowly starts to melt. There's still about a foot of snow, but it's steadily melting now. It's tragic. Tragic. But that's going to be another gold standard live time radio show this morning. We got to go back to here. Another drive time radio show this morning. We appreciate the Gold Standard, appreciates you listening to the Gold Standard Radio Network on February the 12th, 2026. We will be back for another live broadcast, February the 13th, 2026, 6:45 a.m. from the Gold Standard Radio Network. Jay.